Want help to grow your business? Download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit bryn.ai or search the App Store today.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Google Made Easy. My name is Peter Moriarty. I will be your host for this episode. We are talking about getting started with Google Sheets. So if you are already getting started with Google Drive and you've maybe seen our episode on getting started with Google Docs, this is the next one for you, getting started with Google Sheets. We're going to be going through Google's spreadsheet application and showing you all of the best bits of Google Sheets and getting you rocking and rolling. So, two quick things. Number one, make sure that you're following along at home. And if you are, get your laptop out or get your pen and paper ready to take some notes and get some serious implementation happening. This is going to be a really practical session, so I hope that you follow along with me. Next up, make sure that you are connecting with the rest of the Business Blueprint community on social media. So hit us up on Facebook, Google with the hashtag Google Made Easy and hashtag Business Blueprint, and I look forward to continuing the conversation with you online during and after the show. So, what are we going to cover in this week's episode? Let's go through it right now. First of all, we're going to start off with the very basics. Getting started with a spreadsheet, how to create it, where to put it, and then how to get started with tabs, and also delve into the revision history. Very cool stuff. Next up, we'll go through an overlay of functions and how to use functions in the application. So these are just like the functions that you may be used to with Microsoft Excel. We're going to show you how they work in Google. Next up is how to create charts and graphs of your data. So we can use Google Sheets to not only create great data sets, but also visualize visualize that data as well. So next up, we're going to go through how to use filters to sort your data and how to create dynamic drop-down menus. So if you want to get even more out of your spreadsheets, we're going to show you how to do that. Next up, how to use conditional formatting to visually enhance your data. So we can use all kinds of cool options to make our data just that more appealing and help us read and gain insights from our data just that little bit easier. Next up, how to freeze rows and columns to restrict editing access. Very important, particularly when you're sharing with other people on the same document. Next, how to set up alerts when using spreadsheets so you can know when a spreadsheet is changed. So if anyone changes any cells on the spreadsheet, you can configure email alerts so you are alerted. And finally, we're going to cover how to convert your Microsoft Excel documents over to Google Sheets format so you can get working on the documents that you've already created. So that's the summary of what we're covering in this session. Let's get started. Let's start off, first of all, with spreadsheet basics and how do we get started with a spreadsheet. Now, if you haven't used Google Sheets before, hopefully you've at least got Google Drive set up. If not, go ahead and get yourself a free Gmail account, or you can get in touch with us at itgenius.com and we can help you set up a Google Apps for Business account to get you started with Google Drive. Now, once you've got Google Drive open, we want to create a new spreadsheet with Google Sheets, and that's going to allow us to get started working on our sheet. So in this session, I'm going to use a combination of both a pre-done sheet and also we're going to be building out a sheet from scratch. So if you want to follow along and do that with me together, you're absolutely fine too. So first of all, let's jump into Google Drive and then we can get started with our Google Sheet. So in my Google Drive here, you can see I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click the New button and then we're going to create a new Google Sheet. So once this Google Sheet is opened, the first thing that we want to do is we want to create a title for the sheet. So let's just call this one Business Blueprint. And you can see there it's automatically going to be saving and then it's saved the changes. Now, you'll immediately notice that this looks a little bit different to the spreadsheets you may be used to if you're using Microsoft Office Excel. Now, that's quite obvious because the Google documents, both in document, in spreadsheets, and in the presentation format, are quite different to the Microsoft suite. Yes, it's very true that they're quite a lot simpler to what you might be used to using Microsoft formats. However, the key thing that these have that absolutely outstrips any of the competition is co-authoring. What that means is you can work on a document simultaneously with one of your team members and get the same work done together with this document. Really, really cool. And what it means is multiple people can be working together on the same document, just like we've demoed with Google Documents. Now, we're not going to go much into that in this session because we've already covered co-authoring, but it works in the same way as any of the other Google documents. I can share this document and one of my other team members can get work done on it with me just together. So now we've given our document a name, let's put it in its place place by putting it into a folder. So we've got our document here. Let's go ahead and let's click the Move to Folder button here. And what that's going to allow us to do is move it into a folder somewhere in our My Drive or one of the subfolders and store it there, so it's not just sitting in the top level of our My Drive. Let's go ahead and put it in our Kids Sun Shirts folder. I'll put it in the Management folder there, and I'll click the Move button, and then this document will automatically be moved into that folder. So if we go ahead and let's look at our Kids Sun Shirts Management folder. Here we go, the file's been moved into there, nice and easy. Okay, so next we're going to be working through the basics of a spreadsheet. So as you can see here, I've got my spreadsheet open, I've got my cells, I can start putting some data into those if I need to, and any changes are automatically and instantly going to be saved to Google. Let's clear that one off. Now, if we want to add extra tabs to the bottom of the spreadsheet to have extra sheets to work with, we just click the plus button down here, and that's going to sequentially add more and more tabs down the bottom, and we can go ahead and rename them as we need to. Now, because Google is saving a copy of every single revision, that means that we can go back in time to any different version of the document. Now, we've just created this one from scratch, so let's take a look at one that I've prepared earlier, and you can take a look at all of the different revisions in each document. So I'll go ahead and open one of the documents that I've got ready done here. And this one we use for tracking our social media and our blog posts and our podcasts and all the other bits and pieces. Now, you can see there's lots and lots of content on this spreadsheet. We've got different tabs, different settings. We've even got field validation and different colors, all of that cool kind of stuff. But I want to show you how to access the revision history. And we do that by going to the File menu and then See Revision History. Now, this is available on any Google Documents for word processing or Google Sheets, as well as any of the other Google documents that you may be working through. So you can see here I've got the latest version of the document, which is edited on October 25, but let's go ahead and scroll right back to the very first version, March 4, 2014, and you can see exactly what data was added to the spreadsheet. Then, if we move forward to May 7, we can see any of the changes or the updates that were made on that particular day. And Google even highlights in a different color what changes were made and who they were made by. Now, you can see that these have been highlighted in a kind of pinky red color there, and those changes were made by myself way back May 7, 2014. So what that means is that you are able to go back in time to any different version of the document and see exactly what it looked like, what changes were made, and who even made those changes. And what that does is that opens us up to working with the document with our team without the fear of any of the document data being overwritten irreplaceably. That makes it nice and easy to get back to any different version of the document. Okay, now we've covered the basics, let's get on to something a little bit extra. So how do we get functions working in a spreadsheet? So let's go ahead back to our spreadsheet and let's put in some sample data. So let's say, for example, that we wanted to use this spreadsheet as a dashboard for our business. Let's put in, for example, on one column we might have the date, and then from here, let's say sales numbers, and then we have number of new leads. That's pretty straightforward. Let's put new leads before our sales numbers. I'll just grab that column and move that one over. There we go. And now if we want to actually add in a title above the top, I can freeze the rows at the top just by dragging down this freeze bar. See, it's just sitting up there at the top. I can drag down that freeze bar, and it means that I can scroll down as long as I like, and I keep the titles up the top. We can do something else basic, like, let's maybe make the top row bold so we can see that these are clearly titles. So let's put some dates in here. Let's put, let's say 1st of January and maybe 7th of January. And then 14th of the 1st as well. Let's add all of those in there. So we've got a few different weeks worth of data. So now we have some data in the spreadsheet with our dates. Let's add some more into the other columns. So the number of new leads, let's just add these in. We'll put some kind of arbitrary numbers in there and make sure that we've got some data for each week. And the sales numbers, we might decide to make that actual dollar figure. So let's put in 10,000, 20,000 there, 40,000. Whoops. All right, 32,000. Now, if we want to actually make these numbers, pretty straightforward. We just highlight the column, and then we can actually change the type to currency, and that's going to add that in there. Great, so there we go. We've got the basics. So let's say we want to do some basic formulas here, And all we need to do is similar to how you might use Microsoft Excel. We just hit the equals button, and that's going to allow us to start creating a formula. So we can do this either by typing in shorthand. Let's say, for example, we want to divide the number of sales by the number of leads, so we can work out the average value of each new lead. Then what we can do is we can say, okay, let's divide.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download Bryn, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit Bryn.ai or search the App Store today.